the last while you've been listening to Behind the Build, and it's been both an integration of architects and technologists and designers, as well as some of the collaborators, engineers, etc., consultants. But what we've recently decided to do was to kind of honor both sides of the coin. So we'll have architectural design, so it'll be Behind the Build AD, and we'll have interior design known as ID. So if you take a look through the catalog as we move forward, what you'll see is Behind the Build AD or Behind the Build ID. And that way you'll know what you're listening to. Is it an interior designer or is it an architect? Is it a consultant in AD or is it a consultant that would be a part of ID? Okay. If you have questions, obviously feel free. You can email me and say, like, why have you made this change, Jonathan? What's wrong with you? Or you could say, you know what? Love the change. I like that you're honoring both now independently. Or do nothing and just pick what you want to choose. That's the beauty of life. You get to choose. I'm just going to give you the content, along with the talented people that I speak with. So with all of that said, let's get into today's. Welcome to Behind the Build. I'm your host, Jonathan Jacobs, and today I have with me an interior designer I have spoken to on and off through some social media and on some phone calls over the last, I would say, about 8 months to 12 months, running her own studio for the last year and a half, and in interior design for the last decade. I have with me today Lara Nancy Cupido from LN Studio. Lara, thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, a year and a half into running your own studio, this I know, you and I have discussed this. We've talked about the previous experience you had. And again, I know this, no, not many listening may or may not. But why don't we, as I do with everyone else, start from the beginning of your life and say, how do you end up as an interior designer designing spaces? What sparked that interest when you were young? Before Lara answers that, quick note, because what we're really talking about here is the moment you start seeing space differently. A lot of people think design is finishes, but the truth is it's light, it's proportion, it's how a home connects you to what's outside of it. And nothing changes that feeling faster than the line between interior and exterior, especially when you're working with glass that almost disappears. This is why we like working with the doors. When you're designing curtain walls, large format glazing, big lift and slide openings, those aren't details that are just aesthetics. They matter. They're experience. Natural light moving across the day, sight lines that extend the room, the way a kitchen suddenly feels connected to the yard, the tree line, the city, whatever your context is. And the reason we work with the doors is because they understand that these assemblies are technical. They help you get the spec right, performance, buildability, timelines, and they support the team throughout the decisions that actually matter. And we've worked with them with SMPL Design Studio and Drew Mandel Architects and Bren Eisen Architecture. So if you're an architect and designer or homeowner trying to bring more light into a home, tighten up the detailing and create that seamless inside to outside connection, the Doors is a partner you want early in the process. If you want to learn more, email me, Jonathan, Jonathan, at waldenhomes.ca. But for now, let's go back to Lara, because her answer to this question is exactly where that design instinct starts.
Of course, I knew you were going to ask this question.
Yeah.
And I think that there are kind of two groups of people. One who know exactly what they want to do when they're young, and they know they want to be an architect, a designer.
Yeah.
And then there's a group of people who have no idea how they kind of got where they are today, and it's not linear at all. And that's the group of people that I'm in. My artistic side came from my mom. She's great at drawing, much better than me. She's a painter. She's never practiced art as a profession, but she's very artistic, and her father was a carpenter. So it's a very kind of more artistic side came from her. And my father has always been an entrepreneur. He has owned different businesses in his life. So I get my business sense and mindset from him. So looking back, that's kind of, that makes sense to me. Like
Mhm.
I have both of those kind of qualities from both of them. When I was in high school, I just had no idea what I wanted to do. And apparently you need to like decide what you want to do when you're in high school.
It's so funny, right? When they run those tests on you, and you're like, here's where you fall in. Let me add you to a category.
Well, mine was actually an orthodontist. That's like what I was apparently wanted to do. But so I had kind of no clue. So I decided to go to the University of Toronto because I just decided to do a Bachelor of Arts program so that I can kind of feel out what I liked, where I kind of wanted to be. The first year of university there is always just, yeah, very general arts. So I remember sitting at my parents' kitchen table with a thick catalog book of all of the courses at University of Toronto and tried to figure out what I wanted to do and highlighted some courses.
Mm-hmm.
ARC 101, Architecture 101 was one of them. And I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. Before this, I didn't really know anything about architecture as a practice. And so when I saw that course, it just kind of sparked my interest. So very first day of university, my very first class was this architecture class. Isabel Bader Theater, it's just south of like the Yorkville area in Toronto. Beautiful area, and beautiful building. And very first class just blew my mind. Like I've never thought of buildings in a way, I've never thought of them as like an intentional space. I just kind of always walked into buildings and was like, just never really thought about them.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing them in this new light, in why a door is positioned in this way and how architecture really moves people through a space by designing it in a certain way, that was just mind blowing to me. I was like, I knew that I wanted to major in architecture at that point. So during university, it was always architecture. I'm going to be an architect. I actually really wanted to design hospitals. That was really interesting to me, to design a space to promote healing, to understand how that is possible through colors and greenery and all these different things. So it was really like large scale that I was thinking. And then my final year of university, it was my fifth year. I ended up taking an extra year to complete it. I was doing a lot of things at the time. I was working for my father, who owned a cafe just south of the U of T campus. I was working at a hair salon. I was working at a gym. I was doing all kinds of different things. And I also landed a role with a local interior designer, just kind of as her like right hand man, just doing a bunch of things for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of got to look into what interior design could be. And what I really loved about it was the personal connection and working with clients one-on-one and designing something for their everyday life to improve their everyday life, which was so different from what I was thinking about in architecture, which was more bigger scale,
Right.
not related to the being with the person one-on-one. So I kind of got a glimpse into that. And then at the same time, I promise this is related, but I had found this love of yoga. And when I like something or want to learn about something, I need to do it 100%. So I decided to do my yoga teacher training at the time. So I was doing yoga and working this interior designer. I was also working for the University of Toronto and the Daniels faculty, doing some administration for the architecture faculty. And I was also the president of BAS at the time, which is the Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies Society. So I was doing like a whole slew of different things. But I guess the link between a lot of them, specifically the yoga and interior design, was I was really helping people improve their daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
So in yoga, it was like, even the next day, someone would come up to me and say, I don't really know why, but I felt really good last night. And I had such a good evening because of your class. And it wasn't something specific, but I just feel really good. And I was having the exact same feedback when I was working with the clients with the interior designer. I was spending days with them, clearing out their house and finding some like specific thing that would improve their life. So at this point, I kind of knew interior design was maybe more the direction I wanted to go in and less architecture. So at this point, I was quite confused. I didn't know if I wanted to do interiors or architecture. And so I decided, I knew I wanted to do more schooling. I knew I wanted to do a master's program, but I didn't know if I wanted to do interiors or architecture. Mind you, interior design master's programs, I don't know about now, but at the time, which was 2011, there were no master's programs in interior design anywhere in Ontario or maybe even in Canada. There were a few in the States that were just astronomical in price.
Okay.
And then there were quite a few in Europe. So I found this program in Milan that really resonated with me. It was an interior design master's program that also had an internship along with it.
Yep.
So I was considering that program, and I was still considering a master's of architecture in Toronto. I didn't know what to do, so I just decided, let me apply to them both, and whichever one I get into, that's where I will go. And then unfortunately I got into both of them, so I still had to make this decision. And that was really tough because I still didn't really know what an architect does daily.
Right.
I remember walking around Toronto, like looking into like architecture firms, seeing what their studios look like. I shadowed an architect, any family member, anyone that I knew who's like remotely in the industry, I would speak to.
So you felt like what during the course of the 5 years you were doing your program that they didn't give you enough of an understanding of?
No, it was, well, I majored in architectural theory,
okay,
fine art history,
okay,
and Italian studies as a minor.
Okay.
So it was very conceptual. It was very theoretical.
Right.
It wasn't in practice at all.
Got it.
It was great. I loved it, but it wasn't that.
Right.
So I imagine that was more in the master's program. So I was just very confused because I also knew that I probably wanted to practice interior design, but I wanted to get the schooling. I wanted to complete the schooling in architecture just so I felt that was like the highest design schooling to complete. And then I can kind of do whatever I want after that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to practice traditional architecture. So it was quite a struggle. And the way that I typically am with any like personal decision is just letting the right decision like reveal itself. It's really hard for me to make a decision. So very easy in clients for other people and friends and family, but for myself it's
decision
quite challenging.
For everyone
else. Yeah, exactly. So
from everyone else.
So I remember this evening that Beau Concept, which is a Canadian furniture company, they were having an event, and the showroom's in the East End. I think it's still located there. This was like around 2011, around that same time. They were having an event because Karim Rashid he designed a line for them. And he came out and he was there, and I decided to go up to him and ask him, tell him my dilemma and kind of get some advice. Like, what would you do in this scenario? And he looked at me dead in my eyes, like into my soul, and was like, you need to go to Milan. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Europe to the school in Milan that I found. Like that was kind of it. Like I didn't even think about it again. Not because I even like idolized him or anything like that, but it was just like the way I guess he said it. It was okay, I guess I'm going. And that was that. And so picked up my bags and moved to Milan, and best decision ever. It was so incredible. Like the school was great. I mean,
I want to ask you a question before you go to the school.
sure.
Had you grown up in Toronto?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, just north of Toronto.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So at that point, that like Toronto is what you knew.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So pack up what you know.
Yes.
I say all of this because there's some people out there that like they will have grown up in a certain area.
Mhm.
They'll go to their post-secondary education in a different location,
Right.
and then there's some level of like they could have traveled for an internship or something like that. What we're talking about here is like a leap of faith.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah. I had been, I mean, my family is Italian, so I had been to Italy quite a few times.
Yeah.
I went for a course in the summer through University of Toronto once, so I kind of had a sense of what it would be like to be there for a longer period of time, but never for this. Yes, I didn't know anybody who went to this school. I didn't have any friends there. I went completely on my own. So yeah, it was quite a big leap of faith. Just
daunting.
Figuring. Yeah. And I felt that for a bit when I moved there, like for a few months until I really kind of sunk into the lifestyle there. So yeah, the program was good. And it was exactly what we were just talking about before. It was very practical. It was like the drawing set that the builder needs. It was very specific. We're working with real places in Milan with real companies and doing real projects. So it was really practical, and all of it was group work. So it was like, the setting of being in an office or a studio. So it was very, very practical, which I loved.
Okay.
And
that's interesting in itself.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And very different from what I had learned before.
Yeah.
Which was very theoretical. So that the school part was good, but what was, I think, even better were the indirect things that I learned. So the school was an international school, English speaking school. There were students from a lot from Latin America, all over Europe, quite a few from Middle East, all over. And in my whole program, just one from North America, which was me. So I was the only English speaker, like mother tongue English speaker in my program, which meant I was the one reading everyone's work and helping everyone with their resumes. And because of this, I was also elected to do all of the presentations. So, my group mates would say, no, well, of course you speak English. You have to do it. Which I hated at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I learned how to present over and over and over again. And now I love doing it.
Right.
And I became so good at it because of that. So that was great. Also meeting people from all over the world and understanding what design is in other regions and other countries was very fascinating. So that was really a really good kind of part of it. Being in Europe and taking a 30-euro flight to Berlin for a weekend was also great. Like, so you're really like exposed to traveling and different people and cultures. And
how far away was local family from where you were?
You mean?
You're saying that you're Italian.
Yeah, right.
You had been home.
So
back to Italy.
Yeah, so I have family so I was in Milan, which is like northern, and I have family in Abruzzo, which is like mid-ish. So I would say it was definitely a flight, like maybe a 2-hour flight.
Okay.
So I would go there for Easter, Christmas, and that kind of stuff. I also have a cousin in Torino, which is just a 30-minute train ride, which is close. But so I did have some family, but not that I was with them all the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it was also a struggle after the program, understanding or, knowing what to do, if I should stay there or come back. But ultimately, I wanted to bring what I had learned back to Toronto and kind of work with the design scene in Toronto and make it better. And in Europe, design is just, especially in Milan, it's just part of everyday life. Like at the design shows, you have grandparents and kids, and everyone is just attending all the time. But in Toronto, you have to seek it out a bit more. So I just wanted to kind of bring a bit of what I learned back here and start my career here.
Okay. And had you had the opportunity to have your parents come out there enough times over the course of and how
I did.
Actually, first question before I even answer that, you answered it. So, I guess this is my second question. When you selected the school, how many years was the program?
Program was about a year and a half,
Okay.
which included the internship.
Okay, which is what, a half year?
Which was no, just a few months.
Okay.
It was like 3-4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, like September to December, that range.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in that time, while you were doing your internship, did you get to have the family come and see you, or were you able to like show them what you were working on and what that looked like?
During that time, yes, I do remember my mom and my sister came. So I ended up landing an internship with one of our professors. Her name was Francesca Valan, and she was a color theorist. So architects and designers would work with her to come up with color strategies for buildings, exteriors, interiors,
Cool.
all sorts of different projects. So yes, my sister and my mom came out during that time to visit me. I think my mom was, well, she says that she was like very sad when I left, but I think she was ultimately very happy because it gave her an excuse to come to Italy quite often. So that was fun. But yeah, I definitely saw them throughout the time. Okay. Yeah.
And so you finished your year and a half. You're left with the decision of whether or not you stay or you go. And what did you do?
I came back here. Like I immediately came back.
Coming home like that is such a real moment because it reminds you of how much family is the anchor through all of these big leaps. And honestly, it's a good segue into something Lara and I agree on. When you're building a home, the best partners feel like family too. One of our partners helping support the episodes that we produce here is Kaplan's Appliances. And one of the things that Lara keeps coming back to in this conversation is family. The people who help you land when life gets busy, the people you trust, and the feeling you get when you're in the right hands. That's genuinely how Kaplan's operates. Lara's worked with them across residential and commercial projects. And what she said to me is simple. If a brand or a product isn't up to their standards, they just won't carry it. And when you're specifying appliances, that matters because you don't want headaches later. But beyond product, it's the experience. Lara has told me that the reps she's worked with all have that friendly family quality. Easy to deal with, proactive, and just solid. She's never worried about shipping or delivery, and the communication stays up to date, which anyone who's been in the middle of a project knows how rare and valuable that is. So if you're building, renovating, or working through specifications right now, and you want appliances that meet a high bar and a team that's easy to work with, check out Kaplan's. I'm happy to connect you. My email address is Jonathan, that's JONATHAN at waldenhomes.ca. All right, back to Lara.
One thing that was a bit challenging was living in Italy is amazing. Like it was, like I said, I was exposed to design all the time.
What were some of the cultural differences that you? Because you say it to me.
To be honest, I had more of a culture shock coming home than I did going there. When I went there, I just kind of, I don't even know if I had a cell phone at the time. Like definitely didn't have social media. And so I just remember like taking my camera and walking around the city and just kind of figuring it out and exploring and learning. And and then I slowly met friends and kind of had a life there. When I came home, it was as if because social media wasn't really a thing. So I didn't really keep close contact. I remember emailing my sisters and my friends quite a bit, but I didn't know on a daily basis what was happening. So when I moved back, there were songs that I didn't know about and movies and things that like just happened. And I feel like I was in this like in a time warp or something. And it took me quite a bit of time for that cultural shift back to North America. That was quite a bit difficult for me.
Interesting. After only a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
What was one of the hardest things you remember experiencing coming home?
Oh, putting me back into that time.
I know.
Yeah. I think, I guess what I touched on earlier is just this ease of life there, and like the fact that design is just part of everyday life. Of course, in, in clothing and fashion,
Yeah.
what people are wearing there, but it's also so, so Salone del Mobile, which is Milan Design Week, happens every year in April. And the city just explodes at that time. The city becomes a museum. Like, it is such a fascinating time to learn and see design kind of everywhere. And they have, like, that is like a world, a global show.
Right.
But they also have these small kind of shows and exhibits and things pouring out on the streets all the time.
Okay.
So when I moved back here, I moved back to my parents' house. So after living alone, yeah, I know, you can laugh.
Yeah.
It was tough. That was a very challenging part because I was not, first of all, I was not in the city. I wasn't in Toronto.
Yeah.
I was about an hour away.
Right.
So, and going back into, your childhood bedroom and that just not being able to have your freedom and all of that stuff, that was quite challenging. And yeah, and because of that, I had to just plan things a lot more. So when I was in Milan, I just spill into an event and learn about something new in a different kitchen company and product or something like that and see what's happening. And it felt a bit more closed in Toronto, at least for me, because I had to, seek something out to go to it.
Yeah.
Or to understand what's happening in a particular location. And so that, I would say, was maybe most difficult. And then about a year after that, I moved into the city. I moved to Toronto.
Okay.
So starting to soak my teeth back into the city and work. I was working, and so started to move away from that, that kind of tough transition.
So, question for you about Milan before we go back into Toronto.
Yes.
Classmates, you didn't know anyone when you started, but when you finished, what did that look like for you?
Right. I did not know anyone. And still today, I still have a close knit group of friends from the school. Some people ended up staying in Milan, so I have close connection with them. Some of my best friends came out of school.
And how often are you in contact with classmates from?
With a few of them, all the time.
Okay.
Voice notes, WhatsApp voice notes all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in many ways I'm saying this because if you're listening to this right now and you're contemplating whether you should or shouldn't go to school, or you're in school and you're debating whether or not it was the right choice, I don't know whether or not this is you, but if this is you, then it's just worth knowing that there is likely some good to come out of the decision that you made that was really challenging, that you might have put you in a tough spot. And if you're listening to this right now and you're debating whether or not it was the right decision, try sticking it out a little bit longer, because you might find that some of the people that you'll have met there are going to be lifelong supporters and advocates for you that are going to help you through probably some other challenging periods of time in your life.
Totally. And that's a great point. And just to further to that, also one of my friends, we've worked on projects together. She's helped me with projects here, and we've worked on several projects together. So it's interesting to not only in life are we friends, but we also can work together.
Right.
And also what I was going to say is, if you are in that boat and you're, you don't know if you're going to go away for school or not, there are things that you just can't plan. You can research the school, you can understand what the programming is like, but there's so many other things that you cannot think about right now that will impact you. So,
like what? Give me an example.
like, I guess just the things that I touched on before, like learning about other cultures, what design is like in other places in the world.
Hmm.
There were people in my program who were, they owned their own architecture practice and for many years and just wanted to come and refresh with interior design light and
Hmm.
understand more. People from product design that wanted to get more into interiors. There were people from all kinds of places and backgrounds, and I was one of the youngest in my program, so most of the people had been working a lot
Right.
and came back to school. So you just you learn, you make connections, you learn about people, you learn about different practices in different places. Like there are things that are not in the school, in the syllabus of the course, that you would really that just learn. Yeah.
Okay. What was the best meal you had while you were there?
Oh, I had several best meals. But on that note, one of my favorite things to do, which was another hard transition when I came back here, was every Saturday going to the market and getting your fresh vegetables and produce and fish and making meals with this amazing produce. That was the best. Going out for meals was great, but I have to say, at a certain point, I just couldn't do the Italian food anymore. So I was very happy to go to Berlin and go to these other places to like eat some different foods.
Some
That was,
varieties?
yeah, have some different varieties because Italians don't, there was just not that much variety. So, which is also why I liked cooking myself. I love to cook. And so,
Okay. What was one of the more memorable experiences that you had from whether you were walking through the streets or you were visiting a museum, or perhaps sitting in a classroom? Like, what were some of the standout moments that you can draw upon in your memory?
hmm. Let me think about this. The biggest thing that stands out in my mind is what I touched on earlier, which is Design Week, Salone del Mobile. It's a pretty fascinating time. I had to bring my parents one year because I was like, you need to see this. Like it is incredible. So that is a fantastic learning experience, and that was a very memorable time. And I had been there twice because I was there for 2 years. So
Okay.
I went there a couple times and then
Yep.
I've been back a few years because it's always new and different and amazing.
Yes.
And then also on that note, there's the Venice Biennale, which runs for, I think, like 6 months or 7 months throughout the whole summer into the fall.
Yeah.
And that was like, a 30-minute or 30-minute, maybe a couple hours on a train or something close by that we can kind of pop over. And so I think the most memorable thing is just being so connected to so many different design shows and events around the area. Milan is nicely situated in Europe as well. It's like kind of close to many different it's easy to
Right.
fly around from there. So I would say just being physically there and living there, I was able to spread out and see so many other things.
Right. So okay, so we'll fast forward. So you come home now.
Yes.
You're living at home.
Yes.
What does it look like now going on the job search?
Yeah. So job search it was actually it was okay. It was pretty easy. I applied to many different places and I landed a role at a studio that I was there for about a couple of years. And truthfully, I didn't love it for multiple reasons. But I did have my own projects. I was leading my own projects. I had an assistant. I was doing project management and design. It was like pretty hectic. Um,
Generally, is.
yes, as you know, yeah. Right out of school, though, I really wanted to continue learning from someone. Like I wanted to work under someone. And I was, I had the biggest projects in the company. I was like leading most of the work. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't love it at the time for me, but there were a lot of other reasons. But I decided at that time, this was about a year and a half, 2 years after working there, I just was going to quit without having a next step. I just, another nice leap of faith, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
Yep.
So I left there and I landed very randomly at a boutique real estate developer, just as an office administration staff,
Okay.
helping them with a bunch of different things. I really didn't know what to do at the time. And I knew I wanted to do design, but I also wanted to continue learning and I wasn't really sure. So I took this job just because I needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of remotely in the same industry or in, something to do with buildings. And so I took the job and within 3 months, I became a project manager there. I had been doing project management work
Yep.
at the design studio. So that was my I was starting to work in that area. It's also like organization and systems is just really a skill that I have that I love doing. So I just naturally started to do that for this company.
Okay.
And it was really interesting. So what they would do, two owners, two guys, they would find these really run down, poorly managed buildings in the west side of Toronto, like Parkdale and High Park area.
Mm-hmm.
We would find these really, really bad buildings, but that had really good, strong bones and make them better. Just make the building. That was our motto. We make buildings better. And
Interesting. Okay.
so I was doing project management for them, and just about, I guess, 3 or 4 years into that, I became the senior project manager for construction for them. So I was learning a lot about construction, about buildings, project management. I even did an extra program at the University of Toronto at this time for agile project management. So I was really learning a lot about project management, but also learning about how I would want to run a company. I really loved working for them. I loved the culture they created. I loved the space. I loved, we just had such a good time. I was exposed to a lot. I could really learn a lot. So I always knew that I was going to own my own design practice at some point. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, I didn't know when this opportunity would arise. But as I was working for them, so I moved back to Toronto in 2014 from Milan. 2016, I started at this real estate developer. And at the same time, on nights and weekends, this is pre-kids, when you had time on nights and weekends, I would do design projects. Full new builds, extensions, interior design projects. So I was getting the project management learning during the day, and then nights and weekends
applying it
and being able to have this kind of creative outlet. Because during my 9 to 5 work, I was not designing. I was working with designers and architects, but I was not doing the creative work. So I was able to kind of manage these projects for quite a while. And then I went on maternity leave in 2023. And at the time, the company that I was working for, they kind of transitioned from development to more property management. So they held their buildings and just changed it, and they weren't developing so much. So they didn't need a project manager anymore. They let me go, the architect, a few other people, anyone related to construction, they let us go, which was so sad because I really enjoyed working for them. And it was like they had become family. Right. So it was really, that was bittersweet.
Was it a company owned by one person or
two? Okay. Two, yeah. They were called Compass Property Group. 2 men, just fun, great. It was a great experience. And so, but at this point, when I was let go, it was very obvious, again, linking back to what I was talking about before, letting just the decision present itself. Yeah. Here it was, I kind of had to start the business on my own at this point. I wasn't interested in applying for a job. And I was naturally doing a lot of projects. So it just kind of happened quite naturally that LN Studio became, full time, which was scary because I just had a new baby and you know, me and my husband had just moved and we had just finished a renovation, and
Yeah.
I didn't have a full-time job. So that was the opportunity presented itself, but it was, if I had planned it that way, that was not the best timing. But yeah, that's when it was born.
In retrospect now, does it feel like it could have been the right timing, or does you still feel the same way?
No, I think that what was good was while I was on maternity leave, I was able to just start thinking about it a bit more, and become comfortable with the notion that like this is how life is going to be for a bit. And so yeah, in retrospect, it was definitely the right time. And when I started working, when my maternity leave was finished, it was amazing. Like it was incredible daily life, you know, having my own schedule, waking up and being really motivated to run your own practice.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well,
It was
all the
great.
decisions you're making are for you, right?
Totally. And also networking and meeting people and being able to, you know, really sink into this instead of, you know, the years prior, I was just doing design work on the side. So I never really sunk into it.
So tell me what it looks like when you're starting that out. You've said, you know, you get a couple new builds and some renos. How did these projects come to you? Were they people that you knew? Were they people you didn't know? Were they people that inquired?
Yeah, good question.
Did you already have an intake form on a website? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, I did. So while I was doing these kind of side design projects for the past 5 or 6 years or plus, I always, like I said, I knew that Ellen Studio was going to fully be born one day. So I always did these things to like help it along a little bit. So, you know, one year I would create a website, and then one year, yes, I did have an intake form. And I never really stopped the cycle of if there was an inquiry and I was working on a project, if someone else was interested, it was really just word of mouth because I wasn't doing a lot of it, but I would never say no. I just pushed them down the timeline. So it really helped create this like cycle of work constantly coming in. So then when I had the time, you know, all of the hours and the days of the week to work in for the company, I already had momentum.
Right. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many projects had you started out with? Remember?
Just well, yeah, it was beginning of 2024 when I started full time, and it was just, I think, 2 projects, 2 or maybe 3.
Okay. You said one house?
Yeah, there was one full new build, and that's the one we were discussing earlier with Simple. They did the architecture and I was hired for interior design.
Oh, he's so simple. Just joking, Joel.
And so that project was kind of underway, and then I had another full new build in North York. So there was work there, but I also had enough time to kind of think about the business, think about systems and how I want things to run. And this, I love that part too. Like there are some designers who are, they just like projects and they just like to be creative and like just do design work. I love the business side as well.
So let's talk about the business side. So what did it look like for you when you hired your first employee? How far in were you and what was the role?
So right now we have 1 full-time staff and 1 part-time designer does more technical drawings, whereas full-time designer does more of the, I would say, furnishing and kind of styling side, like kind of the ends of the project.
Yeah.
And I brought her on in March of 2025. So about just over a year after I started full time. Okay. I had wanted to do it earlier. I have a lot of ideas of things I want to do, and at the time I had a 1-year-old son, and I didn't have a whole lot of time, but I wanted to get things done. So I was really torn for a while about who to hire, when to hire. I put a lot of postings that, like, you know, yes, the business side, like I said, I love, and the systems are great, but there's also a whole new set of challenges,
Mhm.
right? So trying to find someone on LinkedIn and Indeed and all these different platforms, and meeting people and interviewing and finding the right person. And so that was definitely a whole new world of learning for me. Yeah.
And how did you feel the first time you started to hand something off? Were you concerned, like, oh my God, I'm handing this off? Is it going
Great
to get done
question.
correctly?
That is a great question, because I have learned a lot throughout the last, I guess, like 3 years, or especially when I had my son, to ask for help, trying to be less of a perfectionist and doing everything myself, and really asking for help when I need it. And this is in personal life, and translating that to work.
Mhm.
So I managed a team, or I managed a few people at Compass,
Mhm.
the developer. And that is where I really started to learn to manage people and what information they need to complete a task, in the right way, in the right timing and
Yeah.
way, and all that stuff. So I'm still learning how to do that properly. And because you want to make sure you're giving enough direction, but also giving people freedom to put their spin on it, or not be too strict about things. So I'm kind of, yeah, I'm still learning. But that first time, I would say it was tough, but it felt really good when the work came back and I was able to finish a task without me personally doing it.
Yeah.
That has a lot of value, I would say. So
Have you started to look at the use of any AI?
yeah, so for sure. I haven't done the like the rendering or that kind of side of
Mhm.
different AI software or platforms, but I am kind of working within ChatGPT to figure out some systems, and also help me see a different person. I'm not kind of it's a weird time. Like, I'm not relying on it heavily, but I'm also like, what would it look like if someone had a different perspective, and kind of asking the question within ChatGPT. I think that there's a lot, like, we have to work with AI, because it's happening whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And saying, things like, AI will never take over design. Like, that is just bogus to me, because
Okay.
like, we have to learn how to use it
Right.
in a way that will benefit us.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the people who do that and figure it out early on are going to be much more successful than people just trying to
Yeah.
push it away.
Adapted at its early phases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I don't know what that looks like, but I'm trying to kind of figure it out.
So you alluded to having had your son
Yes.
early on, and so what does your family dynamic look like in terms of being able to manage your own practice, some staff, and then a young set of kids?
Yeah. So since then, I also had another baby 3 months ago, a little girl. So I now have, yes, two kids, one crazy toddler and one infant. Right now, I mean, it's a big learning curve. But my office, I do work from home.
Yeah.
So, which is really great right now, because I'm able to, hop on if I need to. And there's not a whole lot of work life balance. It's just all kind of one right now. But I do have help a few days, like full time help. So I'm able to really sink my mind and my teeth
Yep.
in a design project and really get some good work done. And then even going to sites, I bring my mother-in-law, my mom by, and they'll go for a walk with my daughter while I'm in a meeting. So we're really just making it
I mean,
work right now.
that's really nice. I don't know that everybody has that same level of support from the
Yeah.
family, so it's pretty
Very,
special, pretty important.
it really is. Like, when they say it takes a village, like, it just really, really does. And I'm very grateful for
Who
that.
are they? We don't need to make reference to they.
Yeah.
And your husband, in the midst of all of this, we
Yeah.
briefly discussed
Yeah.
over lunch. You know, so his, I guess his job has, and his role has allowed for you to be able to have his
Yeah.
involvement, but also giving you the flexibility to be able to go and do what you need to do.
Yes. He works a little bit from home, not so much, but he's in the office quite a bit, but his hours are a bit more flexible. So we're kind of asking the question about early child care. Like there's some daycares or Montessori's that start at 6 months. So maybe that's an option because right now I am managing staff and kids and office and home and all of these things, but I also know that burnout is real. So I don't want to drive myself, into the ground.
Yeah.
So just really planning out, and this is maybe some of the project management skills, but like pushing things out or creating timelines that are pushed out enough that so I'm not trying to do it all at once right now, everything.
Yeah.
Like, I know that that's not realistic and that's the outcome is not going to be good. So yeah, just really trying to maybe looking at myself as a project and making it kind of work in a timeline that makes
I
sense.
mean, look, it sounds easy, but it's not an easy thing to be able to go out there and accomplish, because if you kind of sometimes feel like if you're not doing it, then who's doing it? If it's not getting done,
Right.
how are you going to move this thing forward?
And also thinking about which tasks I can push out to somebody else and which tasks I need to be on. So just understanding what that looks like. Yeah.
Okay. What is your, I was going to make it a plural question, but I would say, what does it look like for you in terms of managing projects? How many projects can you take on at a time? Do you feel comfortable with currently?
So we have 4, I would say, bigger projects, which is like either a new build or an addition on a house and full gut, something like that.
Yeah.
But what's nice about them is they're kind of in different phases of the project. So one is in kind of we're installing the millwork right now, so it's kind of on its way out.
Yep.
The other one just has the foundation was just poured. Another one we're in concept phase, so they're really kind of staggered, yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
And then I would say we have about maybe 6 to 8 smaller projects, and by smaller project I mean just a kitchen renovation.
Okay.
Or just a living room fireplace kind of area. And I say just, but it's still a project is a project. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and
the number of trades, just smaller area.
Yes, exactly. Smaller square footage. So yeah, I would say 4-ish big ones and 6-ish smaller ones.
Okay. And what is the ambition you have for the practice as you kind of go forward? Are there project types, or is there locations, or what is it that you would like to see happen with your studio between now and call it 10 years from now?
So
definitely putting you on the spot.
Well, one of the things I didn't touch on, which I'm just sinking my teeth into now, is one of our projects is a multi-res project in Toronto. So doing some more development projects is interesting to me more. Yeah, I told myself for 2025, I want to start working with more developers, and we are on the second one now. So that is kind of becoming more of a thing, hopefully. That's more short term, but in the kind of longer term, 10 years down the line, I don't think I see LN Studio as like a massive company. I see us working on still residential projects, but maybe more like I really would love to design a vacation home or a property in Italy, like that. Bring it back to to where I studied. Yep. And I really dream about that. Okay, that's something I would really love to do. Just creating a space that, and back to this like idea of what yoga did, like really creating spaces that help you live a better life. We have this one life to live, and living it in a way that is like to your full capacity, that really is beautiful and makes you feel something, you know, like a space that's well designed, you can feel it. You don't know why.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because there's beautiful, the HVAC is really hidden in a really nice way that it makes the interiors, you know, so much more functional.
Yeah.
Like it could be something that you don't
Yeah.
even see, but just creating a better space for everyday life is, it makes me, it makes me love to do what I do every day.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered your question.
I think
but,
so.
Okay.
So, and I guess one of my last questions is, what do you like to do to be able to take your mind off it all? What is a day off look like?
So, well, right now is different, I would say, from my non postpartum time. But right now it's like going for a walk with my daughter and like just spending time completely with my kids, like playing with them, like laughing with them and wrestling with them. Like that to me is what I'm doing right now. Out of this phase, traveling is just part of me and what I need to fuel me.
Where have you not gone that you want to go?
Japan.
Okay.
That is a big one. I know people say you can travel with kids and do these big things, and yes, you can, but I just want them to be a little bit older before that happens. But we are still we're traveling a bit. We're going to Florida in a few months. We are going to Italy as a family a few months and maybe in the spring. So there's a little bit of it, but I think just getting back into more travel and even solo travel. I went by myself back to Milan last year. And that was just really, shutting off your work mind, but just sinking into different culture and design. It just, that to me is like what I love to do.
Soul cleanse.
Top of mind. Yes, totally. Other than that, I try to put my phone away. That's like the biggest thing, like phone in another room, reading a book, like holding a book, reading a book, like doing things where my phone is not on me at all is the best way to shut off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Behind you are those pictures of Algonquin Park, which is like, to me, the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the solitude of not being able to
totally
run by your technology is
well, it's one of the reasons,
very fulfilling.
It is. It's one of the reasons why we moved up to Caledon from living right down in the city for 6 years. It really helps that slow paced life. You know, we look outside and only see greenery, and it feels so calming just being there, just being home. And it's really this like slow paced life. I think that's what really helps relax the mind and take the mind off.
Right. Well, I'm sorry for bringing you into the city, but it was worth it.
Hey, I love coming here.
Lara, thank you for joining. I appreciate you commuting down here. We rescheduled once, and just really appreciative. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your candor, and I'm happy you came by and did this.
Thank you so much. Really, thank you for asking me to be on the podcast with you. It was great. It's the first time for a podcast. But also thank you for doing this podcast. I think it's really, really great for many different people, and, you know, as we touched on, students and also people in the industry working, and like I just think it's a really great thing. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.